we're going to practice what we learned about midpoint and distance, and we're going to use the two formulas and use what we learned about what it means to be a midpoint. So first, it says, a line segment has endpoints of -4, 3, and 2, -5. Use the midpoint formula to find the midpoint, then prove that it's the midpoint using the distance formula. Okay, so right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sketch a segment, just so you can sort of visualize, right? So we have a line segment and it has endpoints -4, 3, and 2, -5. Okay, and in fact, like, right, if I were to draw a graph, -4, 3 would be here and 2, -5 would be here. It doesn't matter. We're just picturing this segment right now. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the midpoint. And what we're trying to find right now is this point, the midpoint, right? On a graph, if I had these 2 points, what would the midpoint be? So let's set this up. My 2 points, this is my x1 and y1. And this is my x2 and y2. Now, I'm going to use the midpoint formula. So x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2. So look, it's plus y2, but y2 is negative, so it's -5 over 2. Okay, so what does this become? -4 plus 2 is -2. 3 minus 5 is also -2. And I'm going to again do the math. -2 divided by 2 is -1. -2 divided by 2 is -1. So the midpoint of this segment is -1, -1. Okay? Now, how am I going to prove my answer using the distance formula? Listen, if this is the midpoint, if I want to prove this is the midpoint, what I need to prove is that this segment here, let's call this is A and B, and let's call this M for midpoint. I need to prove that AM is the same length as MB. That would prove that this is the midpoint if this length is the same as this length, because what it means to be a midpoint is that it divides the segment into 2 equal parts. It divides it in half. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the distance. I'm going to find the distance between A and M, and I'm going to find the distance between M and B. And if those two distances are the same, then I have proved that this is, in fact, the midpoint. So I'm going to write, this is point A and point M. I'm going to find this distance right here, okay, using the distance formula. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. Here we go. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. This becomes -1 plus 4. That's +3 squared plus -1 minus 3. -1 minus 3. That's -4 squared. Okay, this becomes 3 squared is 9. -4 squared is -4 times -4. That's 16. This becomes the square root of 25. 9 plus 16 is 25. And this distance is 5. So the length of this line right here is 5. From A to M, look, from -4, 3 to -1, 1, that distance is 5. Now, if this distance is also 5, then that proves that this is the midpoint. It's halfway between the 2 points. So I'm going to grab this point, -1, -1, and this point, 2, -5, and I'm going to find that distance. And what I'm really hoping is that it's 5. So this is D equals, okay, here we go. x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1. This becomes 2 plus 3, that's 3 squared. Look, this becomes -5 plus 1, that's -4 squared. And look, oh, sorry, I'm off camera. Look, let's be lazy. Look, see how I see this is literally exactly the same thing as here? So I know when I do the math, I'm going to get 9 and 16, I'm going to add them, I'm going to get 25, I'm going to get D equals 5, right? The same calculations are going to happen here. So notice, look, this is what I was hoping for, that these two distances would be the same. They'd be 5 and 5. Okay, so I have proof now. I have proof that this -1, -1 is the midpoint of these 2 points because because the midpoint splits the segment into congruent. This word, it means equal, but equal is for numbers, congruent is for like images, for segments. So into congruent parts, okay? Here's what we know about midpoints. Midpoints take a segment and they split them in half into two equal congruent halves. So when I found the distance of this side and this side, I found this distance, and they were the same. That proved that this was the midpoint. That proved that my answer was correct. Okay, you're going to try this twice right now.